Hello folks, and it's time to turn back my attention to this Fokker DR1 restoration. I'm awaiting some bits and pieces, mail order from China, which they're well on the way apparently. But in the meantime, I'm going to address making the setup for the wheels a little bit more scale-like. Now, the easy solution would be to cut this off and put a collet on the end. But that looks rather clumsy. It's not very scale-like at all. So what I'm going to do, I've marked on here the position of the end of the wheel with the retaining collet at the back to hold the middle axle wing in place. I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to cut it off slightly short here. So it's too short, and it's a point of no return at that point, obviously. You can't do anything with it regarding the collet. I've opened the hole out on the wheel, and these needed some bushing made because plastic in a model of this weight just won't stand the test of time. So I made a couple of brass bushes, and they've been drilled out to accept this bit of brass tubing. So the idea is that this wheel will revolve on this brass tube, which in turn will be soldered onto the axle with a piece protruding. I'll drill a hole through, and then a pin can be put through there to hold the wheels on. Much more scale-like than a collet would be. I did ask a question about why all the Fokkers had this inter-axle wing, and somebody informed me that it was to create lift to counteract the dead weight of the engine. Always nice to know, and it's always great to get feedback from people who are obviously more knowledgeable than I am. So what I'm going to do is cut this off. I'm going to use a disc. It's going to be noisy, so I don't think I'll video that. Cut it off, and then I'm going to tin this. I'll have to whack this big Bertha iron on. Jeff didn't get it back because he was otherwise engaged, so I've still got a hold of it. Tin this, apply heat on here to solder this tube onto here. It's not the best fit, but it's as good as I can get. And then we'll have a more scale-like finish. I've removed the said amount of material. There's the brass tubing, which is about 1/4 of an inch longer than the axle that's left. I've cleaned that up with a little bit of glass cloth, getting the word, emery cloth, abrasive cloth, just something to take the tarnish off. I'm going to apply some flux to here, all the way around. And I'm going to put some flux actually down the inside of the tube. Then I'm going to apply some solder to the axle, pre-tinning it, so to speak. Once I've done that, I'll put the tube on, the sleeve on, apply heat to the outside, and it should solder to the axle. Now it's a big lump of metal, this, so it needs a big soldering iron, and that's obviously what I'm using here. Just cleaning it up. It could do with a little clean actually, so do a little ventilation here, so I'm going to open the window. Right, apply heat to here. It's a big lump, so it's going to take some heat. And then keeping the iron on. Hopefully getting it to flow around. Right, so I've got some solder all the way around there now. Might do a little bit more. Of course, I've got to get the tubing to slide over this. It will do, I think, though. Right. Now that's hot. The iron's hot. It's starting to go. Right, I'm going to have to, excuse me, I'm going to have to clean that up so I can get the tubing on, because I've put so much on now it's not going to slide on. I'll clean that up a little bit, slide the tube on, then I'll reapply the heat. So the tube's on, and all I'm going to do is put the iron on and let the heat transfer through the tube onto the flux underneath. It's in the tube, and it should bind the tube into the axle. Just trying to keep the contact with the iron. Don't know if you can hear that, but it's crackling. Which means the flux is warming up. I have done this in the past with Loctite, but this tubing unfortunately isn't a close enough bond to the metal for the, at least I think, for the Loctite to work. So there's a much better option. And then once I think I've got enough heat on this, I'll just leave it for a bit and then try it. You know what I'm going to do? I've just made my mind up. I'm going to actually apply a little bit of solder to the end of the tube and bind it to the collet while I'm about it, and I think that will also help matters, because the collet in turn will be screwed to the interplane, the interaxle wing. Just pause that there while I add a little bit of flux. Unfortunately, even the iron has proved not to be hot enough, so I'm going to resort to applying some heat with the blowtorch. Got to be careful with this, because if you get it too hot, all you succeed in doing is melting the or burning the flux, and it doesn't work as well as it should. Now the only way to tell whether you've done the job is obviously to let it cool down, which I'll do. Let it cool down and then see if we have a firm bond. Let's see if that's done the job. Well, here's the job done. Well, I say done. It needs a washer behind here, and I think I'm actually going to put some tubing the next size down inside to reinforce this here, but far more scale-like than a collet, I think, and worth a bit of effort. The fact that it's so big and lumpy meant that I've had to use the blowtorch on it, but it's worked. And the pin to stop it coming off is made with some bronze. Take care, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. Bye now.